For the following mathematical mapping, state the domain, the range, and the type of mapping, and whether the mapping is a function or not. So we've got x mapping onto 2 minus 3x. So x mapping onto 2 minus 3x. If we draw a diagram of y is equal to 2 minus 3x, then we're going to get a straight line graph with a gradient of minus 3, and this point here will be 2. Now, the domain, so the domain is the values of x that I can put into a function. Now I can put every single value of x into this function, so the domain will be all the real numbers, so x belonging to the set of real numbers. The range is the set of numbers that come out, okay, and that's because this carries on for here forevermore and down here forevermore. The range will be all the y values belonging to R, to the set of real numbers. Now the type of mapping is one-to-one because one thing here maps onto one thing here. Same here, one thing here will map onto one thing here. So this is a one-to-one function, and it is actually a function. Right, let's now consider x squared minus 2. So if we draw that, that's a quadratic. The minimum point of the quadratic is minus 2. If we look along here, we can put all the values of x into a quadratic function. So the domain will be all the values of x belonging to the set of real numbers. Now the range we have to be a little bit careful of, because the range only consists of the numbers above minus 2. We don't get any number below minus 2. So the range is going to be y if it belongs to minus 2. Now the type of mapping we got here is a many to one. For example, if we take this point here, this will go to one value, but if we carry on here, there's another value that will also go to it. Therefore, this is called a many to one. So the type of mapping is many to one. Now, many to ones are functions because many will just go onto one thing only. So each thing here only goes onto one thing. So it is a function. Right, x mapping onto plus or minus the square root of x minus 1. If you draw the graph, the plus x square root of x minus 1 is the top bit, and minus is the bottom bit. So minus the square root of x minus 1 is the bottom bit. This point is 1, 0. Now, for the domain, we cannot put in a negative value for x minus 1. If that becomes negative, then we have a problem. So the domain will be all the positive values such that x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0, which means that x has to be greater or minus 1. So any value of x greater or equal to minus 1 will be the domain. So we say x belongs to the real numbers such that x is greater or equal to 1. Now, for the range, well, even though this is going up here slowly, we will get every value of y and every negative value of y. So the range will be y belonging to a set of real numbers. Now, what type of mapping is this? Well, here you've got one thing will go here, or it will go here. And therefore, that makes it a one to many. And therefore this is not a function, okay, because it doesn't fulfill the definition of a function. One element of one set maps onto one and only one element of the second set, and therefore it's not a function. Right, now we've got x is plus or minus the square root of x squared minus 1. Now that function looks like this. It comes in two parts, so this point here is 1, 0, and this is minus 1, 0. So the domain, now though we cannot, this bit here cannot be negative. This is how you would do it algebraically without drawing the graph. This bit here cannot be negative, so we want x squared minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. If you factorize x squared minus 1, you get x plus 1, x minus 1. So you get x minus 1 and x plus 1 from there. If you draw a graph of y is equal to x squared minus 1, where is the graph positive? Well, it's positive here or here. Therefore, the inequality will be x is less than or equal to minus 1, or x is greater or equal to 1. So the domain will be here and here. Okay, and therefore you cannot put a value of x between minus 1 and 1 into this, otherwise you're going to get time to take the square root of a negative answer, which is not possible. So the domain will be all the real numbers such that they are less than or equal to 1 or greater than or equal to 1. Now, sometimes OR is written with the set notation, which is union. Okay, so that is the domain for that particular function. Now, you will notice for the range, we'll get all values of y out. So the range is quite simple in this case. It's going to be all the values. So y belongs to a set of real numbers. Now, for the mapping, right, here you've got 1 to many, if you just consider this side. But now you've got many, because this point here will also go on to the same numbers here. So here you've got a many to many mapping. So this is not a function. So I'll just repeat why it's many to many. If we take this point here, it goes to here and here and here and here. And you take this point here, it goes to here and to here and here. So this is not a function, and it's called a many to many mapping. Okay, so this has been a video to show you to help you find the domain and range of mappings, and to state the type of mapping that you have. I hope you've understood, and I thank you very much for watching.